So, welcome back, guys. Today's video is going to be a bit unique and very, very educative. I'm sure you haven't seen this or you haven't seen much of this wherever you get your information from. Today, we are comparing duck eggs and then local chicken eggs and then the eggs from the traditional layers being reared by poultry farmers. There's a huge difference. I was actually looking to get an egg from my turkey so that we would have compared these three with that of the turkey as well. But unfortunately, I couldn't get that. But maybe I can put that out as another part of another video later on. So today we are looking at the differences between the eggs from our local chicken, the eggs from ducks, and then the eggs from the poultry layers, if I should put it that way. Now, let me start with the eggs from our local chickens. All these are eggs from our local chickens. Do you see the difference? I'm sure you may talk about color, but it's not so much about the color as to what I want to teach you. Now, look at the size. This is it. You see that it's reasonably sized. Back in the day, this was a very good size to have, even for the eggs from poultry layers. But with the advent of sophisticated farming techniques and improvements, if you are getting this size of egg from your poultry layers, then I think there's a problem. So notice the size of the local chicken's egg. Now, let's go to that of the poultry layers. Look at the size. I'm sure you might be wondering, especially if you are new to this, as to why there are white eggs and then brown eggs, and I'm saying they are all coming from poultry layers. Yes, that is how it is actually. These are the two eggs that you get from poultry layers. You either get the white egg or you get the brown egg. Now, the brown egg is usually laid by the brown birds, and obviously the white eggs are laid by the white birds. Now, see the difference. Let me make it easier for you. Comparatively, look at the size of the two. Can you tell the difference? You see that the size of the egg from the poultry layer is relatively bigger than that of the egg from the local chicken. And I'm sure you can appreciate why. Basically, it's because of the genetics and even the feeding. Mostly local chickens, they have their own genetics, but in terms of the feeding, they don't get that sophisticated and deliberate and dedicated feeding and regiment like the poultry layers would get. So eventually it begins to tell when they start to lay eggs. And sometimes even people may give them all that, but genetically, they may still not give eggs as big as that of the poultry layers. So we now come to the duck eggs. Now, look at the size of this egg. Can you tell the difference? This egg is so huge. But let's compare the three. So this is the egg of the local chicken. Let me use the brown one so you can differentiate easily. And then this is the egg of the poultry layer. Can you see? Or better still, let me go to the white. I think that was more well-sized. Yeah. Can you see? I'm sure you can see the difference. We've gone through this one already. Now let me add the duck egg. I hope I don't drop any of them. Yeah, now this is the duck egg. Can you tell the difference between the three? Yeah, so you see that the egg of the local chicken, this one, This one. Yeah, you can see my middle finger, but I'm using it for the right things. So you see, this is the egg of the local chicken. You see, it's relatively looking smaller of the three. But if it were to stand alone, if you were to look at it alone in itself, you would see that it is very reasonably sized. But if you compare it to the egg from the poultry layer, see, it's now looking like the smaller of the two. And it looks like the egg of the poultry layer is so big. But if you bring in the egg of the duck, the egg of the duck tops it all. Can you tell? So it's big, sorry, big, bigger, biggest. Let's do that again. Big, bigger, biggest. So the duck egg is comparatively much, much bigger than the eggs of the local chicken and the poultry layers. Now, in terms of nutritional value, all the eggs are very nutritious, but the duck egg per its size gives you relatively more in quantity because it's bigger. So you get bigger portions of the egg to enjoy. And that translates into bigger portions of nutrients to enjoy. So in situations where maybe you are cooking and maybe the recipe would have required 4 of the local eggs, you may end up having to use 3 of the poultry layer eggs for such a recipe, and possibly even 2 of the duck eggs for that same recipe. And I'm sure you begin to see how that translates into some financial advantage. It means that you don't spend much more on the eggs if you are using the duck eggs, and also if you are using the eggs from the the eggs from the poultry layers as compared to the eggs from the local chickens. Just that depending on where you are and if you are going to buy the eggs, the prices may also vary. So sometimes you may need to do a bit more calculation than I've simplified here. But then the bigger advantage comes up when you are owning the birds. Now, in my case, I own some poultry layers, I own some local chickens, and I own some ducks, and I even own some turkeys now. So if I am going through a recipe, you can imagine the advantage I have. And again, in terms of the prices, this is where it gets technical, and I'm sure it may vary depending on where you are located. I am in Ghana, in West Africa, and although the local egg or the egg from the local chicken is smaller, it's actually more expensive than the egg from the poultry layer. You get me? I'm sure you wouldn't, because you are like probably like, it's smaller. Why is it more expensive? Yes, because per our culture, there is more value placed on the eggs from local chicken. And it's actually even now more scarce to get eggs from local chickens, because now the abundant business model here is the model of rearing of poultry layers. So this has created a very scarce supply of eggs of local chickens. So it has become a business now. So comparatively, unlike what you are probably thinking, the eggs from the local chickens here in Ghana are more expensive than the eggs of the poultry layers, and sometimes even more expensive than the eggs of the ducks. Yeah. So size doesn't always win in any argument. There are times where the little one is even the most expensive. So size may not always matter necessarily. If you are enjoying this video, go to the comment section. Let me know what you've learned. And you can also give me feedback. How is it like at wherever you are located in your country? Is it the same in terms of the prices of these eggs as I've explained? But again, to bring it back to the context of my channel, it's very important you also find a farmer in you. I had all these eggs right from my backyard. How are you taking advantage of that space? This is money. This is money. And we have crates of eggs to sell in case you are watching and you want some, just let me know. We can transact. Subscribe to the channel if you have yet to do so. Watch our other videos. You will learn a lot and you'd realize that that little space you have in your backyard is actually an asset you can monetize. I'll catch you on the next one. Let me just arrange them very well. Here you go. Here you go. And here you go. I'll catch you on the next one.